Hi there. I want to briefly present my understanding of Gnosis through the Holy Grail by considering the Holy Grail as quite a detailed symbol. And I've here tried to analyze the details of the symbolism of the Holy Grail, the actual physical parts of the Holy Grail, as it were, considered as symbols. And So first of all, at the base here, we have the green line, which represents Earth, and which is traditionally, of course, according to Gnosticism, the sphere of the demiurge. And it's green because it's fertile, and obviously it also represents a pleasant enough um, visage, as it were. I mean, don't forget, it's not that Gnosticism hates the earth. It's rather that Gnosticism or Gnostics have a very low expectation of material things and of humanity and generally of matter itself. And yet, in one sense, of course, the earth is the base from which the gold is created by the alchemical process. And so on the left-hand side here, what I call the point of spiritual motivation, because it is at the point of the earth, that's where the fire begins, that's where the fire of faith or the fire of belief or the fire of gnosis is ignited. And often it's ignited through psychological difficulties, through various states of adversity, calamity, scarcity, of course, which is the main feature of the realms of the demiurge, and ennui, which arises peculiarly from a state of apparent abundance and riches. So often the rich man in his palace, or the rich woman in her palace, begins to wonder what else is there apart from riches and gold and money and prestige and power. And they begin to go inside and become intrigued by what they might find inside on the inner. So, the earth is not to be despised exactly. And I don't think having low expectations of the earth is the same as despising it, but rather recognizing, in fact, that at various points on the earth's within the Earth's sphere, things that happen to us, such as psychological difficulties, etc., can often stimulate us to ignite the fire within, which is a curious inquisitive part of ourselves, which is like on the which is ascending as on a spiritual quest up to the very rim of the Grail itself. So the sort of upward journey of the soul, or rather of our awareness of soul. And at the same time, and this of course, this fire, uh, it becomes a sort of 9 stages, which we'll go into another time. 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, as Hindus call it, or Bhakti Marga, which is the path of devotion. So the path of devotion becomes more and more rarefied as you ascend. Um, but at the same time as this fire is ascending, the grace of God is descending as the dove, as the Holy Spirit, and it's descending exponentially to give us help when we need it. And so on the right hand side here of the base, of the green base, the green line touches touches the blue line of grace, and here we have points of miraculous signs. So the various miracles that happen, whereby the laws of nature or the laws of the demiurge, the the laws that, or the causality that the demiurge has set up are completely reversed, and miraculous and incredible things happen of a positive nature, such as healing miracles and such like. But these miracles are not things in on themselves; they're not important. But they merely point to something greater and other than the self or the awareness of of sentient beings. And as a result of the miraculous, again, a lot of people are stimulated to ask the question, where who are you, God, or where is there more, or what is there other than myself? So from miracles and the signs that they indicate, you get signposts, which again stimulate the fire of gnosis to be ignited, and create a sort of a fiery ascent, which at the same time is also receptive to contemplation. And during contemplation, of course, you're also receptive to the awareness of grace, which is descending. And at some point, where these lines meet, where the blue line and the red line meet, at this point, you become aware of soul. So this, you might say, this is a sphere of spontaneous contemplation, when in fact you become aware of the other and the greater than yourself, and you become aware of soul. And because there's no duality between within and without, this immediately links you to the greater picture, to the spiritual realm, the ineffable realm of the true God himself, or to the great. If you don't like seeing it in personal terms, to the universal energy of non-duality. And of course, again, at some level, the source of the grace is the Holy Grail. So we have the rim here in gold, and we have gold spilling out everywhere, and inspiring us and stimulating us, but also the source of the grace of God as well, because the Grail is the same stuff, homusios, as the Holy Spirit and as the true God and of the Christ. So all these things are the same essence or same nature, you see. So immediately we are connected to the greater, to the whole, to that which lies beyond the sphere of the demiurge. And so this is why the Grail is of vital importance. And it might be sort of as above, so below. So you have the golden line here, which is the rim of the cup, and it is connected to the green base, which is the earth, through the fire of devotion on one hand, and through the action of grace on the other. So in this way, we have a sort of complete picture of the spiritual journey that every soul must make, or rather the journey that our awareness must make in order to become aware of soul. And then from soul, obviously, it is but a very short step to the ineffable realms, which normally are unapproachable and inconceivable. And of course, this all lies beyond the intellect, even though my intellect, you could say, has encompassed it. So on one hand, the intellect has encompassed it, yet the intellect has not afforded me any experience of it. So beyond the intellect, there is gnosis, there is the experience of this symbol, of this symbolism in this picture here. And this becomes something which really happens, not just happens as a schema on a page, on a screen on your computer through YouTube. It actually happens in real quotation marks, in a meaningful way. That is to say, a meaningful way. So I hope that I've briefly presented what I think the details of the Holy Grail represent, at least to me, and that's why I feel that the Holy Grail is a central symbol, a central icon in the iconography of Gnosticism generally, and of Christian mysticism generally as well. So, and this, I suppose, this is really how the Holy Grail unites Orthodox Christianity with Gnostic Christianity in a unique way. And it's a funny thing about the Holy Grail is that whenever you mention the Grail to anybody on the street, like everybody, it's a myth which is so prevalent and so powerful that loads of people have heard of it, and not just because of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, although even the Monty Python's Holy Grail, irreverent as it was, it really couldn't actually blot out the magic of the Holy Grail, even though it tried to mock it and reduce it to a joke, to a sort of atheist's joke, as it were. But even so, the Grail shines through even the parody of John Cleese and company. So that's pretty interesting as well. No matter how people try to put the Holy Grail down, it still has its magic, and even sort of, I don't know, Indiana Jones, that sort of mawkish and sentimental depiction of the Holy Grail. Nevertheless, it's incredibly powerful, and the scene where, the guy gets the healing from the Holy Grail is incredibly moving, and it rises above the general, the general sort of Buster Keaton kind of feel of the whole movie, which is very interesting. Again, how the Grail shines through everybody's attempts to deconstruct it or reduce it to parody or make a kind of adventure story out of it, or creates any superficiality about the Grail. The Grail still has this massive depth to it, which comes through everything, and you can see why, because that it is such a fundamental symbol of the actual process, the mystical process of becoming, and becoming and growing near to the ineffable realm of the true God.